Okay, Rabbi Isai, here we go. Halachas of the modern day bathroom. Very relevant. Let's get involved. Okay, so the Torah says, "V'hoya machanecha kodesh." You should keep your machana holy. So they would go, when they had to go to the bathroom, they would leave the machana to go to the bathroom. There's a mitzvah for a soldier. He's supposed to, when he goes to war, carry with you a shovel. Why? Because you have to take relieve yourself. You have some waste. You should be able to dig a hole and cover it up, and that's part of the mitzvah. That's the mitzvah of the soldier, to be able to cover in the battlefield, to be able to cover up his waste with dirt. I was wondering if we are, by any chance, yotze that mitzvah nowadays, when I don't know, whether we build a bathroom, maybe every time we flush, are we yotze that mitzvah of like the soldier? So I didn't see anybody discuss it. I think no, because it seems to be that mitzvah was miyuchid for the soldier that was leaving his normal place, and he was going to the to the battlefield, going out of the city, going to out there. It seems that the mitzvah wasn't a mitzvah for everybody in their bathhouse, in their outhouse, and seemingly it wouldn't apply to our bathrooms as well. But I am not sure. It was just a thought. Okay, fine. There's Shulchan Aruch Or Chaim Sif Daled Sif Katan Yud Ches. It lists the things that require Netilas Yadayim because of the Ruach Ra. The Ruach Ra, the evil spirits. So these things require Netilas Yadayim. On the list is Hayotzim Bebeis HaKisei. Now, it doesn't seem that we're talking about somebody who just went to the bathroom. And this is actually, the Mishnah Berurah points this out. It's not specifically somebody who relieved himself and used the bathroom. Was oitza tzrachav, not just that. Anybody who just was in the Beis HaKisei, we'll see what the Beis HaKisei means exactly. But anybody, the guy who yoitz in the Beis HaKisei, I think that's so interesting. It's not somebody who's in the Beis HaKisei. The yoitz in the Beis HaKisei, he has a chiyuv until sidayim to get rid of that ruach ra on his hands. Okay. Now, in the classic Beis HaKisei, you obviously cannot wash your hands. Let's put an olden day outhouse. Keep it simple for now. Olden day outhouse, classic Beis HaKisei. You cannot wash your hands in the Beis HaKisei. Why not? Well, you could wash your hands, but it won't accomplish anything. Because the second that you finish washing your hands, well, if you're still there, the Ruach Ra is going to jump right back on, and you'll just have to wash again. So obviously, in that old days Beis HaKisei, you have to wash your hands when you leave the Beis HaKisei, because at that point, the Ruach Ra is already done, and now you'll be able to wash your hands. Okay, so you can only wash your hands once you have left the Beis HaKisei. Now, there's another halacha regarding Beis HaKisei. We see in Shulchan Aruch Or Chaim, Sif Pei Gimel, Sif Katan Aleph. It says, not only can't you say Kriya Shema in the Beis HaKisei, but you can't even say Kriya Shema keneged the Beis HaKisei. So let's say you have a Beis HaKisei in front of you, and you're 20 feet away from it. You still cannot say Kriya Shema when you are facing the Beis HaKisei. However, the Sifkat and Dalet explains there is something called a Beis HaKisei Parsai. I'll explain how that works in a second. By the Beis HaKisei Parsai, there doesn't have it in Beis HaKisei seemingly. You're allowed to daven there as long as there's no smell. It has you have your nice, odorizing, whatever, something that keeps the smell of air freshener. I don't know what they got going on there in the Beis HaKisei Parsai, your nice Persian air freshener. As long as it smells all right in there, no problem. Kriya Shema, seemingly Shemon Esrei, I don't see why not. You want to learn Block Gemara, beautiful. It's like the Waldorf. Or is it? We're going to see, hold on, wait a second. We'll find out in a second what the Waldorf is. But these Beis HaKisei Parsai, no problem. Say Kriya Shema, not only keneged it, say Kriya Shema in the Beis HaKisei Parsai. Okay. So, what is the Beis HaKisei Parsai? So the way that worked is, it was some, at that time, advanced plumbing system. Really what it is there was the Beis HaKisei had a hole, like any Beis HaKisei, but the hole led to a slanted canal, and whatever went into the Beis HaKisei, it then immediately rolled down this canal to somewhere farther away from you, at least Dalet Amos away from you. And I'm not sure exactly how far exactly it went. I can't imagine it went super far, but it went somewhat far away from you. And that made, the excrement just disappeared after somebody went. That was Beis HaKisei Parsoi, and that didn't have a din Beis HaKisei. Now, why is there Ruach Ra? So that Beis HaKisei Parsoi, no problem. No problem with Kriya Shema. No problem with Torah. Yeah? Now, why is there Ruach Ra by Beis HaKisei? Why is, I don't know. I never asked the Ruach Ra, what are you up to? Why you go there? So, Rav Ovadia, and others as well, I don't remember who else it was, but Rav Ovadia sticks in my head. He said, he quotes the Zohar and says the Ruach Ra is attracted to the dirtiness. That dirtiness of a Beis HaKisei attracts the Ruach Ra, and the Ruach Ra jumps there. Okay, so the simple understanding is that washing your hands is to get rid of the Ruach Ra, which somehow gets attracted to your fingers. So as the Rizal says, the Ruach Ra gets attracted to your fingers. So that's why you only have to wash your hands. You ever think about it? Maybe you should have to take a shower when you come out of the bathroom. No, apparently the Ruach Ra gets a chaps on your hands. And so that is when there is, that's why you need the Natil Sudayim. Now, whereas davening, you can't daven there because it's the issue of Nikias. You're only allowed to daven in a place that is clean, and a bathroom is not clean. Now, we see that you could daven by the Beis HaKisei Parsoi because that didn't have the problem of not being clean. So therefore, you were able to daven there. The question is, do you have to wash your hands when you leave a Beis HaKisei Parsoi? We see that you could daven. So the Shulchan Aruch that I quoted. Now the Shulchan Aruch that I quoted did not mention, it wasn't clear whether you have to wash your hands when leaving it. So it's not explicit, but I think that seemingly, if you're not allowed to daven with Ruach Ra in your hands, I believe. So from the fact that you could daven there, must mean there's no Ruach Ra in your hands. And therefore we're going to say that, and that's how seemingly the Poskim understand, and it seems to be the Beis HaKisei Parsoi didn't even have Ruach Ra at all. And therefore, once again, you daven there, and you don't need to wash your hands. Now, let's get real. Our bathrooms. How are we going to treat our bathrooms? So certainly the Svara Rishona, the simple logic to the top of your heads, if those Beis HaKisei Parsoi, which probably, let's face it, smelled geferlich. I mean, it probably smelled better than the outhouse, classic old Beis HaKisei, but whatever. And Lemaisa, there was no water involved in this situation. How clean really was a Beis HaKisei Parsoi? I can't imagine it was sparkling. I mean, I wasn't there, I don't know, but it's hard to imagine it was sparkling. Our bathrooms, which have, they flush and they have a whole system of where the excrement gets shot out, miles out of your house, must be that is, if you're Beis HaKisei Parsoi, you could say Kriya Shema. So in a clean bathroom in a house nowadays, I'm not talking about the airport, and I'm not talking about the Bacher's Dira or whatever. I'm talking about a regular, normal, clean house with a clean toilet, right? So, l'chayra, that's 100 times better than the Beis HaKisei Parsoi. And l'chayra, you should be able to say Kriya Shema, and l'chayra, there should be no chiyuv of washing your hands from going in there. And if you need to wash your hands, you should be able to wash your hands when you are there. Once again, I'm sure it's cleaner than a Beis HaKisei Parsoi. I'm sure it smells less. And we completely get rid of the waste. We actually wash it with water. So many advantages over the Beis HaKisei Parsoi. And this seems to be the opinion that Rav Henkin went with. It's also the Zakan Aaron, the Chelkas Yaakov, Rav Breish, the Minchas Yitzchak, Dayan Weiss, right? Rav Scheinberg, and Rav Abadi says that this was the opinion of Rav Aaron as well. Rav Abadi actually says that he saw with his own eyes Rav Aaron he went into a small bathroom with just a little toilet sink. He washed in the bathroom, no problem. He had no issues with it, and so the Rav Abadi gives aid to that's how Rav Aaron held as well. So they all held. Listen, made the simple Kal B'Chaymer that I did, and that is for sure the Svara Rishona. Now, question, would they actually let you daven in there? You think Rav Henkin would let you daven in the bathroom? Or Rav Scheinberg? Or Rav Aaron? So, from the Sugya, it sounds like yes. Right? Because we have a Shulchan Aruch that says you can say Kriya Shema in a basic Kisei Persei, and they're saying this is better. Once again, as long as there's no smell, I just want to point out. So that would seemingly be how the sugya works out, but I think it's still a problem to daven there for two reasons. One reason is I think there's the element of bizoi mitzvah or bizoi tefillah. I don't know how they used to view this, but nowadays I think it would be viewed disgusting to daven from a bathroom and to give a shiur from a bathroom. That would be disgusting. So I think there's an element of bizoy into the mitzvah. I didn't see anybody write this. I don't have a makar for this, but this is my hargasha. Number two, I was thinking, there's a din also within these same Shulchan Aruchs of a merchatz. So there's three sections of the merchatz. There's the inside. Let's think of a mikveh for a second. There's the inside where the bar is. That's the place where people are undressed. That's for sure a place. Moli zima, moli zuma. It's not zima as in like smoke and whatever. It's not a clean place. Over there, you go there. You have to wash your hands. Then there's the outside room. I'm taking the opposite extreme. That's where you buy chalent on Friday, Thursday. Friday morning you buy your chalent, your potato coal. That's for sure good. You for sure don't have to wash. Then there's the middle room where people are. Some people are dressed, some people are not dressed, and over there it's a whole shayla whether you have to wash your hands or not, right? So. But with Maisa, I think we Baker Paskin, you don't have to wash your hands, but we say you can't learn and say Kriya Shema in such a room. So in a way, our bathrooms, even if you want to say it doesn't have the issue of that it is a Beis HaKisei, it still seemingly is like the middle room of merchatz where people are sometimes undressed. And if people are sometimes undressed there, you would not be able to daven there, say Kriya Shema. However, let me ask you guys a kasha, and what happened in the Beis HaKisei Persoi? They were dressed? So maybe they were, they were maybe over there they were very careful, two tefachim, whatever, and very careful when they went to the bathroom over there to stay pretty covered, whereas nowadays maybe not everybody's as careful. So that is something, I don't know, maybe that's a theory. But the Maisa, no davening in the bathroom. Sorry guys, no davening in the bathroom, don't do it. Okay. Now, let's look at the sugya from a different angle. The angle of the Chazon Ish and Ramosha. So the Chazon Ish and Ramosha, they both say that it is unclear if our bathrooms are as good as the Beis HaKisei Persoi. What? What are you talking about? Come on. Compared to the Beis HaKisei Persoi, you can make a Shev Brachos on our bathroom. What are you talking about? So wait a second. Let's think about it. One of the mailas of the Beis HaKisei Persoi is the second that somebody relieved themselves, it immediately went flying away. In our bathrooms, right, if you don't flush or until you flush, it just stays there. So we don't, in a way, they have an advantage over us. Yes, over by us, you have to manually flush it to get rid of that waste. The waste just sits there. The waste just sits there like an old outhouse until you flush it. So therefore, maybe it's not as good as the Beis HaKisei Persoi because it does sit there. Listen, think about it. If you went to an old bathhouse, old outhouse, and you cleaned it out, would it still have Ruach Ra? Yes, it has Ruach Ra. Well, you could not wash your hands there. You cannot say Kriya Shema even after you did give it a full clean, because it is a Beis HaKisei. So perhaps our bathrooms are Beis HaKisei. Shkrech, you clean it with ease, but it's a Beis HaKisei because it sits and it holds the waste. So maybe they were in Suffolk, and therefore the Chazon Ish says you have to be machmir, and you're not allowed to wash your hands in our bathrooms. And that is why in a classical Israeli apartment, and certainly one, and all of them in Bnei Brak, but even in Yerushalayim, a classical Israeli apartment, there are sinks in the hallway. For when you come out of the bathroom, there's a place to go wash your hands. In America, I guess they can't afford it, and they don't put sinks in the hallway, they only put it in the bathrooms. So, why? Because I guess they're not choshesh for this Chazon Ish. What about Rav Moshe? Good kasha. But and definitely in Bnei Brak, every apartment in Bnei Brak, sometimes they don't even have, sometimes there aren't even sinks in the bathrooms, only in the hallways. And that is the derech. Whereas in America, I think there's no such thing as a bathroom without a sink. I don't think it exists in America, as far as I know. Okay, so that is what the Chazon Ish says. Dr. Moshe, once again, he's working with the same type of thing. Suffolk, I don't know how to treat our bathrooms, and therefore he says, when it comes to washing for bread, absolutely not. You cannot wash in the bathroom. When it comes to washing, for tefillah, for example, to daven, which is, kind of say brachas, etc., which is, I guess you call it the normal washing after using the bathroom, because it's not specifically for bread. So that he says that lichatchila, you should not wash your hands in the bathroom. B'diavad, you can wash your hands in the bathroom and dry your hands when you leave the bathroom. So that is Rav Moshe one more time. You can wash your hands in the bath. B'diavad, you can wash your hands in the bathroom and dry it outside. Now, why does that help? What is the drying outside? What does that accomplish? So it seems that as long as your hands are wet, you haven't completed the washing process. And therefore, since your hands are still wet, you haven't finished the washing. And therefore, you're finishing the washing when you're outside of the bathroom. Or a little bit of a different way that I heard explained is that you're allowed to do nikiyas yadayim, just any form. You can rub your hands on wood if you're stuck and you don't have another way of cleaning your hands. So as long as your hands are wet and you're going to dry with a towel, that's a way of cleaning it, even if you didn't do the proper official rinsing. Fine. Now there's a different din the Shulchan Aruch brings, Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim Pei Zayin Aleph, that you can't say Kriya Shema in front of a bedpan. A bedpan, something designed to have excrement, you can't say it. So even if it's empty, even if there's nothing in it, you still can't say Kriya Shema facing that bedpan. Now, that by a clean toilet is not a problem. I heard somebody try to bring this up, but I don't think it was such a valid thing. Because the Shulchan Aruch itself says that if the bedpan is clean, and it's the type of material which is not balea, it does not absorb, therefore you're allowed to, that's such a clean bedpan, you're allowed to say Kriya Shema. So as long as if the toilet isn't really clean, so yes, you're right, even if you're facing it from 25 feet away, you would not be allowed to say Kriya Shema connected it. But if we're dealing with a clean toilet, and our toilets certainly are not balea, they don't absorb other things, therefore you'd be allowed to say Kriya Shema if there was a clean toilet, even if you're facing it. Fine. Rav Henke gives another svar why to be mater. What's the other svar to be mater? He says our bathrooms are not miyuchid to do your tzarchav, to take care of your needs. Rather, our bathrooms are multi-purpose rooms. Now, this depends on which bathroom. It's not true by every bathroom. But our bathroom are multi-purpose rooms. You go there, you brush your teeth, you brush your hair, you put on makeup. You keep your medicine there, and you have stuff going on there. You have all sorts of things going on there, and therefore, since it's a multi-purpose room, therefore it's not miyuchid as a basic kisei, and therefore it doesn't have that ruach ra. Okay. Who else says that? So the Eretz Tzvi and Rav Scheinberg, they also hold of this svara. Now Rav Avadia and seemingly Rav Moshe and Chazon Ish, who don't bring the svara, Rav Avadia, he writes to reject the svara, and Rav Moshe and the Chazon Ish don't even bring it up, so the Chayra, they don't hold of it either, this svara. Another possible reason to be makel by our bathrooms is, as the Yam Shel Shloima says, nowadays we don't have Ruach Ra anymore. And if we don't have Ruach Ra anymore, there's nothing to worry about. Now, Maisa, it seems to be the poskim that never accepted this Yam Shel Shloima, but I think it could count as a sniff leheter. It's something to add on as a possible reason to be mater, but it's not a reason on its own right. Okay, now Rav Shlomo Zalman, he takes a little bit of a middle ground over here. He says, l'chatchila, you shouldn't wash your hands in the bathroom. B'diavad, you could. Yeah. What if you're just going to get a tissue? Is that Rav Shlomo Zalman, you're just going in to get a tissue? Rav Shlomo Zalman says you don't need to wash. Why? It's a sveka, suffix if the tumah is chal upon you. If you didn't use the bathroom, you just went in. That individual shayla or machmir, but it is a suffix. And suffix had to treat our bathrooms. So it's a sveka, you could get a tissue without a problem. Once again, Rav Moshe and the Chazon Ish would hold that if you went into the bathroom to get a tissue, you would have to wash your hands when you come out. But the Ma'aser of Shlomo Zalman and Rav Henkin and Rav Scheinberg, they would all be makel. Fine. Rav Abadi, as I pointed out previously, he says our bathrooms. He actually says in such strong wording. He says our bathrooms. It's so pashut. I can't understand why some of these great achronim are even debating it. It's as pashut as possibly could be. Our bathrooms are way, way better than the basic kisei parsai. Yes, there's tiny little chilukim, but take a step back. Look at the picture. It's pashut. Our bathrooms are better. And he quotes that he saw Aaron use our bathrooms and wash his hands in there. And he says, however, you got to be careful not to take it too far. If you go to, for example, a public bathroom that's not cleaned well, right? And there's stuff lying around there, whatever, a public bathroom that's not cleaned well, that is din basic kisei. You're not allowed to wash your hands in there. And that's something that you have to be cognitive of, because it's not an automatic rule. It's an automatic rule for a normal house. It's not an automatic rule for everywhere. Okay. So where do we stand? At the end of the day, where do we stand over here? So we stand over here, the lichatchila, the best to do is don't wash your hands in the bathroom, wash your hands out of the bathroom. What's the middle ground? The middle ground is you can wash your hands in the bathroom, but dry your hands out of the bathroom. Okay. And for somebody that wants to go and wash his hands and dry his hands in the bathroom, yesh al milas, you have who to rely on. There were some big people. There was Rav Scheinberg, there was Rav Henkin, there was Rav Aaron. You definitely have who to rely on, those who want to dry their hands in the bathroom, even though it seems that Rav Paiskim are not happy with that maneuver, but you certainly have who to rely on. Fine. And I would also add there's more room to be makel by a multi-purpose style bathroom than a, just bathroom. Now, another point to note, some people don't realize, especially you have this a lot of times in, public bathrooms often, is we have the bathrooms, and then the sinks are in like a separate room, or a semi-separate room. As long as there's a tzuras apesach, there's a doorway in between the bathrooms and the sinks, then those sinks are considered a separate room, and everybody would say you're allowed to wash there. Even the Chazon Ish would have no problem with you washing there. And I would say further, when it comes to the stalls, right? If the stalls are there, there's a door to the stall, the bathroom stalls. As long as those doors are more than 3 tvachim, let's say 11 inches, they're less than 3 tvachim off the ground, the bottom of that, then once again that's a closed off room, and therefore you would be able to wash your hands by the sinks, because that would be its own room, and that would not be a basic kisei according to everywhere. everybody. Now, great. The Or L'Tzion says a bathroom that's on a plane or a bus, that's not a Beis HaKisei Kavua. If it's moving, it's not a Beis HaKisei Kavua. I mean, Mela, you can wash your hands there. However, on the other hand, those you could say those are worse because you have excrement's not leaving so far; it's kind of staying there, and nobody's doing anything else in those bathrooms. So I wouldn't actually rely on that Or L'Tzion, but I brought it down because it was interesting. Now, how many times do you have to wash your hands when leaving the bathroom, and do you need a cup? So the Shulchan Aruch doesn't say anything about washing multiple times, and the Shulchan Aruch doesn't say anything about requiring a cup. So what does that mean? That means the sheet of the Shulchan Aruch is you can wash your hand once from the sink, and that is fine. Nothing more is needed. The Mishnah Berurah quotes the Sefer Heichel HaKodesh that says you need to wash your hand 3 times. And I think 3 times probably means with a cup, but I'm not positive about that. Now, it doesn't look like the Mishnah Berurah is actually being choshesh for the Shita. And it seems that the din is 1 time, no kli. There's a chumrah. I guess the Mishnah Berurah brought it down as a chumrah. But people should know it's just a chumrah. And it's not even a chumrah that the Mishnah Berurah seems to have told anybody that they should be machmer for per se. So the din is you can wash your hands without a cup, without 3 times. And that seems to clearly be the din. But once again, those that want to be machmer could be machmer. Next question. Can one bring his tefillin in, somebody has his tefillin. Let's keep it a very common case that people ask. You have your tefillin, it's in your carry-on. And you want to go, you're in the airport, it's in the carry-on, and you want to go to the bathroom. Could you bring that carry-on that has your tefillin in it, could you bring it into the bathroom? So before I answer that, I'll tell you a conversation that I had with my wife not so long ago. I told my wife that once I was at a urinal, and someone walked into the urinal right next to me, and he was wearing his tefillin. And my wife said, "Did you tell him it was usher?" So I said, I wasn't comfortable. I told my wife I wasn't comfortable telling him it was usher. So my wife said, Why? You should have told him. Why weren't you comfortable? So I told my wife, the reason why I wasn't comfortable is because it was Shmuel Orbach. So, what? Yeah. I mean, I saw it many times, but, Shmuel Orbach used to go to the urinal with his tefillin on. And everybody's looking, the newbies who are around, like, what? But you know what? You just have to open a Shulchan Aruch, and it's pretty clear. The Shulchan Aruch says that you're not allowed to go to a Beis HaKisei wearing your tefillin, Shema Yifna, because maybe you're going to have to relieve yourself in a major way in the bathroom. So what does Rav Shmuel hold? L'chayr, very simple. By a urinal, there's no chashash of Shema Yifna. By a urinal, there's no chashash that you're going to relieve yourself in a major way. And therefore, you could go to the bathroom with your tefillin on, no problem. Now, the thing that makes this a little bit complicated is because there's another din in the Shulchan Aruch, Sifkat and Daled, just a little bit down the page, which says that you shouldn't, your tefillin or davar shek b'kedusha, you shouldn't bring it in unnecessarily. And the Mishnah Berurah explains, however, if it's double covered, then it's allowed. You shouldn't bring it in unnecessarily. If it's double covered, it's allowed. And if you're scared that it's going to get stolen, single cover is enough. So let's go back to the airport for a second. And now in the airport, why aren't you leaving your tefillin around? You're scared it's going to get stolen or lost, right? So all you really need is a single cover. When your tefillin's in your carry-on, so it's in the boxes, then it's in the material covering of the case of the tefillin. Then it's in, some people have it in their talis bag, then some people not. Then it has a plastic cover on top. Then it's in your carry-on. It's probably like 4 or 5 covers or so. All you really need is one when you're scared it's going to get stolen. Over here you have 4 or 5, and even if you aren't scared it's going to get stolen, it's not a problem. And I'm going to say furthermore, if you're not going into a stall and you're only going to where the urinals are, then it's for sure fine. Because Yeah. So what's Pshat of Shmuel? So I guess the Mishnah. How do you understand the first Shulchan Aruch and the second Shulchan Aruch that I quoted? So the answer is unnecessarily. Shmuel felt it was necessary not to take it off. It was going to take time. It will take away time from his learning or whatever. And okay, if it's needed, it's needed. He take the time to go take it off and back on. He felt that that's considered a bit, it was necessary for him to keep it on, and you're allowed to, once again, when there's no chashash.
It's not the same basic kisses that the Gemara is talking about.
We did discuss a couple minutes ago about what the din of the basic kisei. I don't know what Shmuel's shita was. We discussed the different shitas as to how to treat our bathrooms. But once again, the Shulchan Aruch says the issue is Shema Yifna. So, you're saying if Shmuel holds, once again, correct, I think what Keelan's saying is very good. If Shmuel holds, like the Rav Henkin type of shita, that our Beis HaKisei and Rav Sheinberg took a shita, that our Beis HaKisei doesn't have a din Beis HaKisei, so Memela, this whole sugya doesn't even start, and I don't even have to come up with svaras as to why he was able to do it. I think that is a good point. Actually, I'm going to accept that. I'm coming into svaras and Mechalik, so that the Shmuel, the sugya doesn't even start. He probably did hold like Rav Sheinberg and Rav Henkin and etc. that if the sugya doesn't start, it has a din of the modern day bathroom doesn't even have a din basic kisei altogether. And once again, as we discussed, there's no chashash Hashem yifna by a urinal, and b'meila it would be fine. Okay. Once we're just talking about this, what about if you have a bencher in your wallet? Could you go in the bathroom? Yeah, once again, no problem, because how many covers are there? There's a whole machlokes where the cover of the sefer is considered a cover, but sometimes they have it feels dark on the outside, so that may mess it up a little bit. But suffix cover number one, and then it goes into your wallet. That's number two, and then your wallet is in your pocket. That's number three. There's plenty of. Yeah, if you want to be yeshiva, if you want to be like a guy who's very machmir and put it in a plastic bag, matav manoyim. Halacha, I don't see any need whatsoever. Okay, now let me ask you a question. If you take your tefillin off to go in the middle of davening, you take your tefillin off to go to the bathroom, and then you go put your tefillin back on, do you make a bracha or do you not make a bracha? So the rule is, so Gilan's convinced you make a bracha. So the rule is like this. If you were not allowed to wear your tefillin when you took it off, so therefore that is a hefsek in your initial bracha because you were not allowed to wear tefillin. And now you have to start over because you weren't allowed to wear tefillin. But let's say you took your tefillin off and to do something that you're allowed to wear tefillin to do. But you, for whatever reason, didn't want to wear tefillin there, but you're allowed to wear tefillin. So then, when you put your tefillin back on, you don't make a bracha. Because as long as when you were taking it off, you had kavanah to put it back on, and you didn't do anything in the middle that you weren't allowed to. Okay, so now let's think about it for a second. What say you went to the urinal? Now, we just said, lefi these shitas, that you go to the urinal, you're allowed to technically do it with your tefillin. Now, I know Eli just mentioned earlier he wants to go to the urinal with his tefillin on, but he wants to know why he can't. And I don't have a good reason why you can't. It happens to be it's true, I don't advise it, because people will look at you weird. And if the one who did it wasn't Reb Shmuel, I would have looked at him weird, but he was Reb Shmuel, so I couldn't look at him weird. So, but the Maisa, seems like you're allowed to. Certainly we see Rav Shmuel hold you're allowed to. The Chayyur of Henkin would say the same thing. And I heard Rav Sheinberg did it as well. So, yeah. So therefore, lefi those shitas, you would not need a new bracha. And lefi those shitas, since you would not need a new, you're allowed to do it. Therefore, those shitas, we say you would not need a new bracha. L'chayyur safek brachas l'hakol, and you would not make a new bracha. Once again, if you want to, you could get yourself out of the safek. You could touch yourself. That actually worked, touching yourself. That doesn't help. You're right, forget it. No, that doesn't help. Yeah, I'm thinking about this dime. Sure, forget that. That doesn't help. If you want to, you could step into the stall. The dirty one. And now you'll for certainly need a bracha. Maybe.
If you have in mind that you can you have positive kavanah to have a hefsek? Take it off.
Could you have positive kavanah to have a hefsek? Does that work? Is that like make a bracha she'ein tzricha in a way?
Yeah.
In a way, it's making a bracha she'ein tzricha, the positive kavanah. I want my bracha to stop, so when I can take a bracha, I'll make a new bracha. Definitely, the Rav Scheinberg type of svaras and the Rav Shmuel type of svaras, that'd be a bracha she'ein tzricha l'chayra, and l'chayra you can't do that. So I would say l'maisa l'chayra. Somebody who just goes to the urinal, they would no new bracha. Somebody that goes to relieve himself in a major way, he would make a new bracha, because that you can't do with your tefillin. Somebody who goes to the actual, not just the urinal, the actual bathroom, but just to do katanim there, once again, l'chayr still you wouldn't make a new bracha, because the few those shitas that our bathrooms don't have a din of beis hakisei, you could technically be there. No, but there's the shev and yifna. Sorry, no, I take it back. Take it back. If you're going to go to a regular stall, not just the urinal, then you would make a new bracha when you come out, because the Shulchan Aruch says you're not allowed to go there, shev and yifna. So therefore, urinal, no new bracha. Proper stall, yes, new bracha. And I think that is how we end. And I think that was quite interesting. Thank you for listening.